Swimming can be an incredible adventure, but certain places around the world are definite swim-at-your-own-risk zones. From waters teeming with sharks and lakes rife with harmful bacteria, to beaches notorious for deadly rip currents and blooms of toxic algae, these are the 15 places where you should approach with caution and others you shouldn't approach at all. Let's start off with number 15, Blue Lagoon. In the UK, this seemingly peaceful body of water lies hidden in a former limestone quarry in Derbyshire. The Blue Lagoon, or at least what it used to be, looked like paradise thanks to its striking turquoise color. But in 2013 and again in 2020, officials dyed it black to stop people from swimming. Why? Well, because the lagoon formed after the quarry was abandoned in 1952, and over time, rainwater filled it up. The nearby limestone leached calcite crystals into the pool, giving it that gorgeous blue hue, but also pushing the pH to a harsh 11.3. For comparison, ammonia is 11.5, bleach is 12. So this isn't water you should dip a toe in, let alone your whole body. The water can cause rashes, burns, stomach illness, and chemical skin reactions. Yet even with rotting trash, floating carcasses, and obvious warning signs, some people still dive in, proving that bright colors overpower common sense more often than we actually think. Number 14, the Big Hole. Some lakes mask their danger behind beauty. Others, like the Big Hole in South Africa, don't even try. Formerly known as the Kimberley Mine, this open-pit diamond mine began excavation in 1871. After more than 22 million tons of rock and 3 tons of diamonds were removed, operations ceased in 1914. What was left behind was a monstrous pit over 1,500 feet wide and once nearly 800 feet deep, about 4/5 the height of the Chrysler Building. Over time, water filled the base, and today, the hole reaches 705 feet, with a 134-foot deep water layer at the bottom. The surrounding walls are sheer and unstable. In 2013, a dog fell in and swam for days along the perimeter. Rescue teams hesitated. The walls could collapse, and no rope was long enough. After a full week, a pulley system finally pulled the exhausted animal out. If even rescue crews hesitate to descend, swimming here isn't bravery, it's suicide. So, don't do. Number 13, bleach bath. Well, now, what comes to your mind when you think of Tanzania? That it's part of Africa? That it's teeming with remarkable wildlife? That it hides a 490-square-mile lake capable of turning animals into stone? It may sound fictional, but it's completely real. Welcome to Lake Natron, located in one of the hottest regions of Tanzania, where intense heat causes most of its water to evaporate. This leaves behind salty, mineral-saturated shallows coated in crusty layers and populated by salt-tolerant microorganisms tinted a deep crimson. But the water that lingers is so densely alkaline that birds stopping in for a rinse quickly become layered in salt, and as they calcify, the crust hardens and locks them in place. Not quite stone, but horrifyingly close. The lake's soda-rich bedrock gives it an average pH of 10, reaching 12 when waters heat to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. In 2007, photographers crash-landed here and barely survived the chemical burns after crawling for miles. Had they landed deeper, the outcome might have been far worse. Number 12, Hanakapi Beach. This might look like paradise. Blue water, soft golden sand, cloudless sky. But at Hanakapi Beach on Kauai's Napali coast, that picture-perfect shoreline hides one of the deadliest beaches in the world. Locals know better, but many tourists ignore the danger. Nearly 100 people are believed to have been pulled out to sea here over the years, and none returned. Why so deadly? Unlike much of Kauai's coastline, Hanakapi lacks a coral reef barrier, which means waves crash directly onto the shore with brutal force. Once the water draws back, it drags swimmers out with it. There are no lifeguards stationed here, and once you're pulled away, there's no backup. Visitors still get too close, often mistaking the calm for safety. Warning signs try to speak loudly, but the view is louder. Even those standing in ankle-deep water aren't safe. This is one of those places where not swimming isn't boring, it's what keeps you alive. Number 11. Lake Berryessa and Lady Bower. Open water swimming feels like a summer dream, but not when you're near a reservoir. These man-made lakes look similar to natural ones, but often hide deadly engineering. Lake Berryessa in California sits behind the 304-foot Monticello Dam. When rainfall pushes its limits, a massive 72-foot wide spillway, nicknamed the Glory Hole, kicks into action. Water swirls into this concrete funnel before plunging 200 feet, narrowing to 28 feet at the bottom, and draining 48,000 cubic feet per second, almost half an Olympic pool each second. Despite warnings, in 1997, a woman swam too close, lost her grip, and vanished down the spillway. Over in the UK, Lady Bower Reservoir in Derbyshire hosts two similar bell-mouth drains known as plug holes. Each one is 78 feet across with 66-foot drops. People still fish, kayak, and swim nearby. One misstep, though, and it's game over. These are engineered vacuums, not swimming holes, and they don't come with second chances. All right, guys, now let's head over to Number 10. Lake Hillier and El Chichón. Some lakes lure visitors with dazzling colors, though not all shimmer in blues. Australia's Lake Hillier, perched along Middle Island's coast, is known for its pink water. The 2,000-foot-long lake is separated from the sea by a thin stretch of land and is so intensely pink it looks digitally enhanced. Its vibrant tone comes from red-hued bacteria and algae, both rich in carotenoids, pigments that protect them from the lake's heavy salinity. The lake isn't deadly unless you start gulping it down, making it a hotspot for social media chasers. On the flip side, Mexico's El Chichón crater lake looks like liquid emerald, but couldn't be more lethal. Formed after the volcano erupted in 1982, it's filled by superheated groundwater laced with volcanic gases like sulfur dioxide and hydrogen chloride. With a pH near 0.5, similar to battery acid, this pool's beauty is deceiving. Great for a photo, terrible for a dip. Acidic water and human skin never ends well. Number 9. Naruto Strait. Any anime lovers might appreciate the twisted currents found in Japan's Naruto Strait. This narrow channel separates Naruto in Tokushima from Awaji Island in Hyogo Prefecture. Though it stretches less than a mile, it connects the inland sea with the Pacific Ocean. As tides shift twice a day, massive volumes of water force their way in and out, creating a tidal difference of up to 5 feet. When squeezed through such a confined space, the rushing current, which can reach 12 miles per hour, spins into whirlpools that span up to 66 feet wide. These are the Naruto whirlpools. They inspired the name for Naruto Maki fish cakes, which in turn gave the world Naruto Uzumaki. While boats can handle the turbulence, we can't. In 2014, a photographer in Cornwall, UK, drowned while documenting a similar whirlpool. Though it looked small, the current dragged him under. Unless you've mastered walking on water, stick to sightseeing boats. Number 8. The Eagle's Nest sinkhole in Florida. Ever jumped into a pool and lost your bearings mid-swim? Hopefully not. But that's a real risk for anyone brave or foolish enough to enter Eagle's Nest sinkhole. Found on Florida's coast, it looks like a perfect little secret pool, hidden in plain sight. Some days its waters are clear. Other times they're pitch black, dyed by tannins from surrounding plants. But no matter the surface color, once you drop below, things get much worse. This is merely the entry to a big, water-filled tunnel system stretching over a mile and diving down 310 feet, all in total darkness. Cave divers, drawn to mapping unexplored sections, risk their lives navigating this submerged maze. Visibility vanishes fast. Everything starts to look the same. A single wrong turn means getting trapped with no way back. Since 1981, at least 13 divers have never made it out. So, don't go. Number 7. Boiling river. As a child in Peru, Andres Russo heard stories about a boiling river deep within the Amazon. Years later, while mapping geothermal regions, he ventured into the jungle to see if the myth held weight. What he found stunned the scientific world. A real 4-mile-long river averaging 186 degrees Fahrenheit, 16 feet deep, and wide enough for 2 cars to pass. This wasn't volcanic. It was fault-fed. Rainwater sinks deep, heats within the Earth's crust, then resurfaces through fractures. Locals had known it for generations, but no one had studied it. With help from National Geographic, Russo launched the Boiling River Project to protect the area, threatened by deforestation and unchecked development. The river can cook tiny animals in seconds. Its cultural and geological importance is big. This isn't just water. It's sacred to Amazonian tribes. Now just hours from the city by road, development is closing in fast. If we don't protect it now, it won't survive the next decade. Number 6. Strokkur geyser. So, we've established that wandering off trail for a secret soak in geothermal pools isn't smart. Yet somehow, not everyone got the memo. Let's shift focus to one of the most dangerous hot springs in the world. In Iceland's volcanic terrain, near the Vita River, lies what looks like a calm, shallow basin. But every 10 minutes or so, peace erupts. That tranquil pond is actually the Strokkur geyser, one of the most active fountain geysers on Earth. These are formed by deep tube-like tunnels where water, heated by nearby magma, builds pressure until it bursts. The steam blasts the water skyward at 130 feet, about 10 stories tall. Tempting as it might be to treat it like nature's water slide, the temperatures hit 464 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you decide to dive in, you're either being launched into the sky or boiled alive in an instant. There's always a third option, and it's just don't. That's the only one that doesn't end with a closed casket. Number 5. Grand Prismatic Spring. Not all deadly waters are just one color, as proven by Yellowstone's Grand Prismatic Spring. Located in the Midway Geyser Basin, this is the 3rd largest hot spring on Earth, spanning 370 feet across. That's more than twice the length of an Olympic swimming pool. Its floor glows with vivid rings of blue, green, yellow, and orange, resembling a sci-fi portal more than a pool. But this rainbow effect comes from geothermally heated water shooting up from deep below, reaching a scalding 189 degrees Fahrenheit. As it spreads outward and cools, it fosters rings of bacteria that thrive in different temperatures, all the way from 131 to nearly 190 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hot enough to cause third-degree burns. In 2016, a man and his sister ignored warning signs and went off trail. He fell in while testing the water and couldn't escape. The water's acidity and heat dissolved his body by the next day. That pool's not magic. It's a boiling death trap. Number 4. Lake Vostok. Well, we have seen lakes that can boil, bubble with acid, and drag you into underwater labyrinths, but this one's the coldest of them all. Lake Vostok is a massive subglacial lake buried beneath more than 2 miles of solid Antarctic ice. It's classified as oligotrophic, meaning it contains very low nutrients, yet it holds an estimated 5,400 cubic kilometers of fresh water sealed off for the past 15 to 24 million years. Scientists drilling down have extracted ancient ice cores in hopes of finding signs of microbial life, and maybe even fish species that have evolved in complete isolation. If any life exists down there, It could offer clues about survival in extreme environments, including subsurface oceans on icy moons like Europa or Enceladus. But don't get any ideas. The water beneath that frozen crust is calculated to hover around -3 degrees Celsius. So even if there are creatures under the ice, you're not joining them for a swim. Number 3. Berkeley Pit. On the surface, Butte City in Montana seems like any typical American town, until you spot the colossal pit looming on its edge. This mile-long, half-mile-wide crater is the Berkeley Pit, a former copper mine carved out in the 1950s. By 1982, operations ceased, pumps were shut down, and groundwater began flooding the hole. But this wasn't fresh water. It leached toxic chemicals from the surrounding rock, turning a sinister reddish-brown. The lake now contains arsenic, cadmium, sulfuric acid, and other heavy metals. In 1995, 342 migrating snow geese sought refuge here during a storm. By morning, all were dead, their bodies covered in burns. Despite its acidic pH of 2.5, Montana had to establish a waterfowl protection program to scare away future flocks. The water remains corrosive, and the message is brutally clear. If it can burn through birds overnight, it's no place for skin. Nothing about that shimmering surface says safe. Number 2. The Strid. North of Bolton Abbey in Yorkshire, the river wharf twists through peaceful valleys, flanked by quiet villages and stone bridges, picturesque and calm. But just 5 miles downstream from Burnsall Bridge, the river takes a vicious turn. Known as the Strid, this narrow channel funnels the river's power sideways through ancient limestone rock, creating one of the most deceptively deadly water formations on Earth. It appears jumpable, only 2 meters across at its thinnest, but beneath the surface, depths reach up to 213 feet, with unseen underwater tunnels and reverse currents. Anyone who's fallen in hasn't come back. A popular walking trail runs nearby, but people still misjudge it. According to legend, young William de Romilly died trying to leap it, and in her grief, his mother donated the land for Bolton Priory. Though later records complicate that tale, it's clear the Strid doesn't forgive mistakes. Even dogs know better. One slip, and you're gone. Number 1. Narrow escape. During Texas summers, kids around Wimberley love nothing more than splashing through Cypress Creek, which feeds directly into a spring called Jacob's Well. Springs like this are usually modest and perfect for a photo or two if shallow enough. But this one's 12-foot wide mouth drops a sheer 30 feet into stone, and the hole looks punched right through the earth. With that kind of plunge, it feels made for cannonballs. But what's underneath has claimed the lives of many who dove too far. Not a creature, at least not one we know of, but a karstic spring that's part of a deep cave system. Past the opening, chambers continue down through tight, winding shafts reaching 120 feet with over 4,500 feet of branching tunnels. Some are so narrow that divers must remove tanks to squeeze through. A slip means losing everything to darkness. Over a dozen divers died here. In 2015, freediver Diego Adame barely escaped, missing gear, cutting weights, and scrambling up in time. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for joining us on this journey, and we'll see you very soon.